Hello, what is up guys? It is King Kunal here back with a new video, something new, which is chess. I haven't really had time to play my video games because I don't know, my software for the things I run them on are just not working right now, so I thought I might as well play one of my other talents, which is chess. And for some people who like chess, I'm going to just show you the basics. So let me actually flip the board here. So what is chess? Chess is basically a board game, but many top players will tell you that it is more than just a board game. It is a sport that requires incredible endurance and physical strength to be able to endure long games and not make mistakes, because mistakes could potentially cost you the game. There are three results possible. There's a win, loss, and a draw. Draws can be made. You can offer a draw and accept. You can repeat the position. For example, if you get the same position repeated 3 times, then the game is automatically a draw. Or you can win or lose. Now, what is the objective for both sides? Both sides want to control these center squares around the 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 center. So that's why the top moves played for white are e4, looking at these central squares, and d4. Now, since white has the first move, he gets to occupy central square first, which is why usually most players prefer to play white because they get to control the center first. So possible moves could be with if you play e4 as your first move, black does the same. He occupies this central square, and white develops a knight, and black develops a knight. So both sides are looking at these central squares, and there's some moves here. There's bishop b5, and there's also bishop c4. Both are aimed at undermining black. This move is more aimed at undermining the c6 knight and undermining the center. And this move is more direct, just pointing at this sensitive point at f7 and also controlling some of the d5 square. And black would usually reply. Now this is called the Giuoco piano. If you don't know, I'll review openings later though. And okay, so that's a possible way to control the center for both sides. You develop your pieces. Usually, you like to develop your knights before you get the bishops into the game, because the bishops are long-range pieces and they're considered better than knights. You want to keep them inside. You want to get your knights out because they're less long-ranged and they're less valuable than the bishop. Even though they're both worth the same points, the bishop usually is considered a better piece. So you want to keep that inside and get your knights out to control more center squares. Bishops only control squares on a diagonal, whereas the knight can control 2 squares in the center of the board as well. So that's kind of the idea here for most openings. So another objective is castling. You want to castle quickly. So here, for example, white castles. So notice how black has not developed his pieces. So he needs to get his knight out. So that gains a tempo hitting this pawn. There are many ways to defend that. Rook e1 is one way. Getting your rook on a file. Now rooks like to be on open files because they can enter other positions and they can enter territory faster, and they just function well. Rooks move in a little lateral direction and an upward direction, downward, basically side, any direction they want. And you kind of want your pieces like that. So usually in these types of openings, the e-file potentially could open up, and you just want your rooks supporting these central squares for potential pawn advances to be able to open up the position, get all of your pieces in the game. And I mean, aside from that, there's not much. Black also wants to castle as soon as possible. Now, if black is able to do the same, white is usually the one that wants to control the center, and white is the one that's going to develop initiative. Once you control the center, the key thing is to develop initiative elsewhere, because black's not just going to let you take the center. You have to develop initiative on the king side with maybe a pawn storm, or bring your pieces over to attack the king. You want to develop all your pieces as soon as possible, though. And once if you develop all your pieces, then you'll definitely have the better chances of winning. And that's just one variation, how to control the center. As one, after the first move, there are tons of different possibilities for both sides. There are various outcomes possible. So here we have another way for both sides to gain control of the center. And here, white can play c4, attacking the center pawn, and if black takes, this pawn will be taken back with e4, and this pawn is going to be got back, and then white's gotten rid of a central pawn, and white's doing pretty well, actually. But even though this is a pretty common line, black's best to just support his center rather than give it up. So, for example, you see here black maintains central control with his pawn, and black would be doing fine there. Another thing I should mention is that e4, e5, it's not the same with f4 because this diagonal towards the king could be a problem. Although this is a possible opening. It's called a king's gambit, but it's not usually giving white an edge. There's these things called chess computers. They can evaluate certain positions, and this is not the best way forward for white because it leaves this diagonal open, and you can't castle through a check. So this would be a pretty unsafe, unsatisfactory way for white to play. So that's the difference. It's usually better here because you can always castle. You can always, there's no worry of like a queen checkmating you. Let me actually show you what I'm demonstrating. Let me try to show you what I'm demonstrating. For example, if g4, e5, and f4, you can see how fatal this diagonal can be. That's actually a 2-move checkmate, how you can lose the game in 2 moves. And it's not really a good thing. So remember, just keep control of the center and keep your king safe and develop all your pieces and you'll be fine. So those are the basics of chess. And let me actually show you some fun, before I end this video, let me actually do some fun little traps. So here we have e4, e5, and actually I played one of my friends in an opening. Now it looks weird to play your bishop out before the knight. As I just said, you want to bring your bishops out after you develop your knight. But I mean, if you're trying to play cheap tricks, then this is the way to go. So c5, and then queen h5. Now, usually, another thing I forgot to mention, usually you don't want to bring your queen out too early because she could be attacked by other pieces that develop, and they could develop and then attack the piece. And the queen is the most valuable piece, so you want to keep that on at all times. So usually you don't want to do this, but this is just a fun little trap. Knight c6, and you could checkmate your opponent in 4 moves. So these are like some cool basic things. In fact, let me show you another funny one. e4, e5, queen h5, and then let's say black touches. There's another rule in chess called touch move. Let's say you touch your king, you would have to move it up here. And the queen takes the pawn, and that's checkmate. Pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, the objective of chess is just have a good time and control the center. Once you control the center, then you're free to play on the queen side with the pawns, and you won't. And as long as you keep control of the center, you will always have the better chances. The side that controls the center usually wins, but usually as long as the material is even. Of course, you want to keep the material balance. You don't want to blunder a rook or a knight or a queen even, and you'll usually be fine if you just play good chess. So this is one of the beginner tips. It gets far more interesting from here. So thank you all for watching, and I'll teach you guys some more next time. Bye.